After years of married life, the relationship has reached a new level. Melinda is a beautiful wife who lacked the attention of a successful husband. Victor devoted a lot of time to work, and the girl decided to make up for the attention with other men. The successful husband turned a blind eye to these entertainments, but one day the lovers began to disappear without a trace. This is Emily Recaps. What exactly happened after the wife's cheating and what she got? You will learn in this story. Enjoy the movie. Victor and Melinda Van Allen seemed like an ordinary, happy family. They were raising their daughter Trixie and making a family home. In the evening, they were going to a party. Melinda was a little excited about the preparations. The woman was running around the house and annoyed at her daughter who wanted to listen to a children's song. The doorbell rang, and the babysitter arrived. Victor greeted her and went upstairs, where Melinda was waiting for him. She wanted her husband to help her decide on an outfit for the evening. Victor picked out a dress and put his wife in her new shoes. Those shoes had been a gift from New York. Watching her husband's careful movements, Melinda asked if Vic knew that she loved him. Victor looked at her and suggested that they go downstairs since it was time for them to go out. The couple headed to the party in a great mood. They listened to music and exchanged smiles. Upon arrival, Victor helped Mel take off her outerwear. Melinda grabbed a glass of champagne to join the buffet. They chatted with acquaintances about their children's education. The couple's loose views on parenting were surprising, but they weren't going to go into detail. Melinda was bored until she spotted Joel, her special friend. Victor also noticed the guy and noticed how excited his wife was. He grabbed a drink on the bar and began to search for them with his gaze. Melinda led Joel out into the courtyard. Live music was coming from there. Victor walked over to the window. The hero saw them kissing. Melinda felt his gaze, but continued her conversation with her friend. Victor stepped back and an acquaintance approached him, starting to discuss Melinda and Joel's behavior at the pool. She wanted to tell Vix about his wife's infidelity, but he was unwilling to continue the conversation. Melinda drank more than she should have. She climbed up to dance on the piano. When her husband approached, she put on an impromptu performance for him and the guests. At the bar, Victor ran into Joel, who thanked him for his hospitality and the opportunity to be close to Melinda. In response, Victor told Joel about a man named Marty, who had also been a friend of his wife's before Joel. Joel hesitated. He had heard about Marty, but he didn't believe Victor had anything to do with the man's disappearance. Victor, however, simply replied that he had killed Melinda's friend. After hearing that, Joel decided that he'd better leave. After the party, Melinda asked Victor about what had happened to Joel, but Victor didn't want to talk about the subject. He asked his wife to get in the car. Melinda found an apple in the glove compartment and fed it to her husband. As Victor paid for the babysitter, Melinda walked into the kitchen and began to undress. Her behavior embarrassed the girl. After seeing the babysitter off, Victor helped his wife take off her clothes. They began to discuss their relationship. Melinda confessed that despite Joel's foolishness, she felt comfortable with him. Victor secluded himself in the lab, where he watched the snails. In the morning, Trixie was telling her father about her science experiment for school. Later, the hero drove the little girl to class. Victor met his friends for lunch. The men discussed Melinda's behavior at the party. At home, the woman decided to argue with Vic. She learned the details of their conversation with Joel. Melinda wanted her spouse to apologize to her boyfriend. She invited her lover over for dinner. Joel came to visit the couple. The boyfriend turned out to be allergic to seafood. He neglected the dishes prepared by the owner of the house. Joel told about his plans for the future. Guy is going to work in another city. Melinda liked her friend's idea. She wanted to come to visit him. She began to flirt with Joel in front of her husband. The woman took a sandwich from the guy's plate. She enjoyed finishing it instead of Joel. Victor talked about how they had spent time with Mel in the early days of their acquaintance. Their conversation turned into a family argument. The woman sent her husband off to read a story to her daughter. While Victor is chatting with Trixie, Mel is having fun with a guest. Just going downstairs, Victor realizes that his wife and Joel have secluded themselves. The man wants to interrupt their fun. He makes a noise with the dishes in the kitchen. His wife walks into the room. She asks her husband to take a glass of alcohol to Joel. Vic complies with the woman's request. The guest thinks that Victor will ask for forgiveness. However, the owner of the house shoves the guy out the door. He says that Joel has a taxi waiting for him. After a while, the Van Allen couple again attends the holiday. They meet the writer Don Wilson and his lovely wife. The writer rebukes the hero for his work. Victor develops chips for the military. Don considers such a profession unethical. Victor's friends turn the writer's accusations into a joke. Melinda was dancing with his daughter. Victor watched his girls. Kelly, the writer's wife, approached the man. She was very nice. The hero invited the blonde to the dance floor. Victor's friends were shocked. He very rarely entertained in this way. The wife was hurt by Victor's deed. She was jealous. Melinda wanted to find out if her husband liked Kelly. To cheer herself up, Melinda decided to help her husband drive. She actively worked on his transmission. At home, the woman gave Victor a romantic evening. The next day, Trixie played football. Her parents came to support her at the match. Victor got a call from the bank. He was told that his Melinda was going to wire $3,000 for piano lessons. The account belonged to Charles Delilah. The man wanted to find out who the teacher was. He came to the bar where the guy was playing the piano. Victor was sitting at a table. He saw his wife. Melinda came to meet the piano player. Victor got upset and went home. His daughter was waiting for him. Together with the nanny, Trixie played poker. Later, Melinda returned as well. The woman was drunk. She told Victor about meeting a new friend. The hero helped his wife to undress. Victor broke the news to her about the death of her missing lover. Victor allowed his daughter to take a puppy from the shelter. The girl was worried about the condition of her mother. On the way home, the hero saw a musician. The guy was walking down the street with a bouquet of tulips. These same flowers then stood on the kitchen table when Victor returned home. He invited his friend to the bar where Charles was playing. The man liked the guy's playing. Victor confided that the pianist was teaching Melinda how to play the piano. At night, Vic tended to the snails. Images of his wife learning music never left his mind. Melinda didn't spend the night at home. Victor waited for her. He wanted to know where the woman had been all this time. The couple started fighting. Melinda wanted Victor to show some emotion towards her. However, Victor was reserved by nature. He tried to forbid Melinda from seeing her new friend. Melinda ignored his words. Melinda invited a friend to a pool party. The woman introduced him to her friends as her piano teacher. As everyone relaxed, Melinda began flirting with Victor. Then she introduced her men. Charlie thought Vic's face looked familiar, but the hero denied it. At some point, the man lost sight of his wife. The friend said that Mel went up to the bedroom. Vic was not happy about this. He decided to find Melinda. At the same moment, a cheerful Melinda ran out of the room downstairs. She was wearing a swimming costume. A piano player also came out of the room. The couple was heading to the pool. Victor followed them. The man watched his wife play in the water with Charles. The rain prevented the couple from swimming together. The guests went into the house. Victor and Charles stayed by the pool. Don stepped out onto the balcony. He saw Victor watching the guy in the pool. After a while, Victor walked into the kitchen. He ate a fresh biscuit with gusto, however, he burned his hand. Melinda didn't find Charlie among the guests. She felt uneasy. The woman went out onto the balcony and saw her friend's body floating in the pool. The men pulled Charles out and tried to resuscitate him before the ambulance arrived, but it was too late. Melinda's psyche couldn't take it. As the police arrived at the house, they began questioning the guests about how the party had gone. Melinda blamed her husband for the situation with Charles. Friends were shocked by the woman's words and the subsequent hysteria. The police officers took the heroine away to talk in private. Then they called Victor. The detective believed in the man's innocence. At home, Victor decided to talk to his wife. He decided that Mel was afraid of him. However, the woman knew that her husband had done this to Charlie because of her. Victor went for a bike ride. Moments from that evening flashed through his mind. He couldn't forget how Charlie had fought for his life in the pool. The man rode into his hideout. He noticed that a stranger in a car was following him. The next day, Victor took his daughter to school. There, he met the writer's wife. The woman revealed that her husband was telling everyone about Vic's involvement in the musician's murder. Kelly did not approve of her husband's actions. The woman was initially opposed to the presence of Melinda at the party. She condemned the windy character of the heroine. Vic calmed the woman down and invited the couple to dinner. In the evening, the guests arrived. Vic showed the writer his snail farm. He asked the man not to spread rumors. Such statements could hurt the writer's reputation. Don was surprised at the man's words. He thought the landlord should be concerned about his reputation. Don asked how the pianist had died and whether Victor would agree to take a lie detector to prove his innocence. After a while, Vic saw the car that had been following him again. He looked around the car. In the cabin, the man saw a camera. In the cafe near which the car was parked, Melinda was sitting with some stranger. The hero went inside to talk to the couple. Melinda did not expect to meet her husband. She introduced the stranger as her therapist. Vic made sure it was a private detective. The man went to the Wilson house. He realized that the wife and Don were conspiring. The man decided to find out for what purpose Don hired a man to follow Victor. The writer's wife was outraged by her husband's act. Don tried to convince everyone that he was not involved. However, Victor came with proof. Victor followed his wife. He discovered that the wife had made a new friend. The stranger was waiting for Melinda at the car to go for a walk. Trixie asked her father about the pianist's death. There were different rumors going around the neighborhood, and everyone at school asked the girl about how he had done it to the musician. The man convinced his daughter that he had nothing to do with the accident. Trixie didn't believe him. They decided to keep the conversation a secret. Victor put his daughter to bed. Downstairs, the phone rang. Melinda started chatting sweetly with someone about a trip to Brazil. After the conversation, the woman took a bath. Victor wanted to chat with his wife, but she ignored him. Victor invited his wife's new friend Tony to visit. The boy gazed excitedly at his host's snail farm. The men moved to chat in the kitchen. Melinda came downstairs to join the men. The woman acted provocatively. She talked about Tony being her first man. The woman recalled the time when she had moved to America. The friend was embarrassed by his friend's revelations to her husband. To reduce the tension in the room, Tony suggested adding some snails to the dish. Vic did not like it. The host told his guest that if you eat satiated snails, you can get poisoned. This discouraged Tony from eating the exotic dish. The evening was fun for everyone except Vic. Melinda invited her guest upstairs. Victor followed them upstairs. The heroine was flirting with Tony. She saw her husband on the stairs. The next day, Victor met Tony on the street. He found an excuse for the guy to go with him to a place that was important to Melinda. Tony figured the woman was waiting for him there. On the way, they talked about Melinda. His hero drove very fast. He brought the guy to the gorge. Victor got rid of his wife's next lover. The man decided to hide the evidence in the water. Victor came home with a sense of accomplishment. His wife was playing with his daughter. Victor asked Mel about her friend's business. He decided to show his approval of Melinda's choice this time. The woman was wary. As the family ate lunch, she tried to call her mate. Later, she invited her husband to a picnic to the gorge. The woman liked the place. While on holiday, Victor reminded Melinda that he loved her no matter what. She, too, had tender feelings for her husband. Melinda decided to warm her hand in her husband's pocket. Victor wanted to please his wife. He gave her a book of photographs that she didn't know about. The gift touched the heroine. Trixie was playing with a puppy. The girl came close to the water. Her father ran after her. Victor noticed that a body was visible in the water. He wanted to hide his deed from the family. The man suggested that they go home. On the way, it turned out that Melinda had left her scarf at the picnic site. The husband promised to retrieve the scarf in the morning while cycling. That night, Melinda wanted to spend the night with Victor. A couple rested on the bed. The heroine stroked Victor's face. She confessed that she loved him. Everything the heroes had been through had brought them closer together. They spent a hot night together. In the morning, Victor drove to that clearing. Melinda went into the room with his pets. She began to look at the shelves. Tony's wallet caught the woman's attention. She realized that her friend was in trouble. Victor arrived at the gorge. He tried again to hide the evidence. Hero didn't see that the writer was following him. Don asked what Victor was doing in the river. The man replied that he was looking for his wife's scarf here. The writer waved that very red scarf to the hero. He wanted to give it to Vic. Seeing the body, Don was frightened. The man hurried to his car. Vic started to catch up with him on his bicycle. At that time, Melinda was packing. Trixie saw the suitcase. The girl threw it down the stairs and drowned the suitcase in the pool. She was supporting her father and didn't want to leave. After catching up with the writer, Vic pulled out in front of the car. Don failed to control the car. His car fell into the river. Victor was met at the doorstep by his wife. Melinda said she had found Tony's papers. To keep the secret, she burned the documents. It's a film called Deep Waters, 2022. Rate this movie in the comments. Do you think Victor and Melinda's relationship can be called normal? See you in the following videos.